Screwing things up as always on my end. Obviously, I unfortunately left some good old music on. I must have restarted.
Breaky.
The stupid stream. I just want to see the chat, Okay, anyways, going to close that. Okay, we should be good to go now. Back into the game. Here we go. All right, so wasn't lying, though. We are in the game. In fact, picking up pretty quickly right here. What is that? I must... Does that mean still? I must have something.
Breaky.
Oh, it's the Honcast side. I figured it out.
This guy's all full of fail.
Okay. 3 times a charm. Here we go. Okay. Blind banning stage. We had Wild Soul Keeper of the Forest. Hellborn team, Wild Soul Keeper of the Forest. So only 2 bans as a result of the blind ban phase.
Yep.
That very, very rarely happens, but both teams just do not want to see those. Then we're into the lock pool. We got Tempest into Ophelia Pharaoh, and then actually look at that Dampier Parasite. So the whole Dober on Damp maybe has something to do with them playing some Dampier here.
Yeah, I know. I'm very interested to see that. And it is kind of rare that we do see the double blind ban, but when the teams really do understand the metagame and value the certain heroes, then then when you really think about it, it's not that surprising to me, honestly. Wild Soul Keeper of the Forest. The only thing that's surprising to me is that Legion would actually ban out Wild Soul because obviously if you're in that first position, you have the opportunity to take it first. So
yeah.
That's the only thing that stands out to me. But other than that, the locks as far as that goes, Tempest, Ophelia, Pharaoh, Dampier, Parasite, and then Bubbles. Pretty strong stuff. Lots of junglers, a couple suicides, and then a little bit of a Dampier pick thrown in there. Banning phase, we got Fade, Zephyr, Jerizai to start it all off.
Yeah, I actually got the chance to talk to Porch, the captain over here of DonD, just a little bit right before we came on, and he was actually mentioning to me, apparently these guys have been around for a while, for one, and two, I actually didn't recognize their team name. They actually had a team name before called Baby Smashers. I don't know if that rings a bell.
No.
As wrong as that name is, but for some reason it definitely rings a bell. I want to say they maybe competed in the Dream HoN or the Dream HoN qualifiers or whatnot. And I know I've seen them before, maybe even further back then, but so at least do have some experience to an extent. But again, here they no doubt that this probably has to be one of their biggest matches that they've ever had. Now they did play Trademark Esports actually in the very first round of this cycle. They did end up losing 2-0, and from what I could tell, it was maybe a little bit fairly one-sided there in favor of TDM. So again, here's kind of a second chance for them to kind of make a point that they can compete with some top-tier teams. But always intrigued to see, when we have a case like this, what a new team on the table brings to it. So. Banning phase finishing, we had Fade, Zephyr, Jerizai, Moon Queen, Demented Shaman, Pebbles, and the first pick Plague Rider, quickly coming out here from DonD. Silhouette Engineer, going to be your response here from Complexity. So,
yeah, and speaking of TDM, other one-sided victories, really, I looked at the stats at least of TDM versus Mist or N9 Gaming, or formerly Druids, whatever you want to call them at this point. And that was pretty one-sided as well. So, one of the predictions I made in the podcast earlier this week.
You and I.
You as well, as we were against Waza and Sam right there, that TDM would take this cycle. With the addition of Fitzky to the roster, I think it just makes it a lot stronger. And I think it's just a lot of it has to do with the relationship between Fitzky and Minot specifically. Sam mentioned how they were old teammates on Lions actually a long time ago, and they had great success together. So that's a team you got to watch out for, man.
It is. No doubt is. So
yeah, some more picks up here. Silhouette Engineer, obviously for Complexity. Glacius Draconis for Dober on Damp, and then finishing off for Complexity, it's a Hammerstorm. So most likely going to see that Hammerstorm Engineer lane. And I got to say, that lane is extremely powerful.
Yeah, Luna Hammerstorm, we've definitely seen a lot of Engineer Hammerstorm just as much. So, again, with the addition of less QQ, at least for the cycle here, though, for Complexity, not only has Moon Meander kind of picked up the jungle, really, the pure jungle, but Beacon has actually kind of switched to be more of the suicide. So what we would usually see in this case Beacon on that Hammerstorm, but we'll probably end up seeing less QQ actually.
Right.
Playing the Hammerstorm here with Franzi most likely in the Engineer. So the first pick, though, here in the lock pool, DonD is actually thinking about it a little bit right here. Not going to rush anything, but again, a very strong lock pool, of course. Is there something obvious? You think that Ophelia is pretty obvious here? Or?
Ophelia could be fine, honestly, because even if they go with a Parasite Complexity, that is, you're going to have a Glacius at your side and at your assistance to kind of force him out of the jungle. The same logic, you can pick Tempest. and just out-farm the enemy. So Tempest is going to out-farm both Parasite and Ophelia if you just farm in the woods. And they go Dampier. Interesting. And that's actually not, honestly, that's not that bad either, because there's still 3 junglers available. I don't really see Complexity taking 2, because unless they decide to suicide Tempest and then go Ophelia, which they could do, but I'm not a big fan of the suicide Tempest.
My only problem with that, though, is that, come on, let's be honest. What are the chances Complexity is going to take Dampier out of that lock pool?
Yeah.
Very, very, very small.
Exactly.
So it's like, sure, okay, maybe there is some longitude in a sense. Like, it's not the worst pick in the world, but I am a little bit taken back by might not have been the smartest choice to pick it up here. I mean, it's fine with Dampier in general. He definitely has proven that he can snowball and be very, very effective. But in the end, why take it here? In the end, they are going to either get Parasite or Ophelia, it looks like. So really, it didn't really hurt them when you think of it, unless they want a Tempest. So if they did want Tempest, then it did kind of screw them there. But
yeah.
Complexity, they do go with Tempest Pharaoh. But, when it's all said and done, they are going to get still a very, very strong jungler, and it looks like it is going to be Parasite is the option they want to go with. So, but yeah, Dampier going to be picked up here again, so maybe the name definitely means something. the whole Doberon Dam thing. Apparently they love to play that Dampier. And, going to show it off here in game number 1 against Complexity. So quite the challenge. We'll see how good this Dampier actually is here for them.
Yeah, but I agree with you, and I still stand by that. I think that Tempest would have been the best pick for them, because if you have Glacius at your side on your team, they can't really, even with a Parasite or Ophelia, they can't really force you out of your own jungle. Because if Glacius is smart, she'll just come over and assist you, and you'll be like 2v1 in the jungle. And then they will have to, whoever the jungle is that's trying to be aggressive on you in your own jungle, will just have to leave and ultimately waste their time. So I would much rather have the free farming Tempest that's going to be better in the late game than something else like a Parasite or Ophelia in this case, simply because you already have the Glacius on your team.
Yeah. Well, we do see, nonetheless, that they got the lineup that they got, of course. So, again, I am excited to see Dampier here for this DonD team and seeing what he can bring to the table. He is being played by Doberman, so here playing the Dampier, and he looks like he is going to be going mid with Glacius. So the Glacius Dampier lane mid, Dracona is heading bottom currently, and of course Plague Rider going to be in the suicide role. So nothing necessarily too crazy here coming out, at least from a Legion side. You look at the Hellborn team. Whoa. The Hammerstorm's getting
I know, it's so awkward, isn't it?
It really is. Again, the sword just looks like this huge blunt object. It doesn't even look like it's an actual sword to me. But anyways, Hammerstorm Engineer, they're going to end up mid, Pharaoh Suicide, and of course Silhouette short with Tempest in the jungle. So nothing crazy going on here, it looks like, when it comes to the laning phase for either side. So I guess that kind of leads us into now this middle matchup. You mentioned Engineer Hammerstorm, a very powerful lane, going up against a Dampier Glacius. Do you favor the Hellborn side?
I definitely favor the Hellborn side. Like, Hammerstorm Engineer Engineer does so much damage with the Keg plus turret, especially once you get a couple of levels on both of those skills. And it's very easy to initiate with a Hammerstorm stun that has that range. It's 600 range and 300 AoE, I believe. Maybe 200 AoE, but nonetheless, it does also a lot of damage itself, the Hammerstorm stun. Dampier doesn't exactly have the strongest laning presence early on. This is a hero we've seen actually a couple times that can really snowball if given a good start, but Glacius with him in the mid lane against this specific lane, like I don't feel like you're gonna kill anybody. Like, Engineer already has some good base stats. Look, he's only got 2 minor totems as a support hero, but he's at about 570 HP. You compare that to Glacius, who has 3 minor totems, only 511. So it does make a difference.
Yeah. Well, again, we'll definitely keep an eye on that, of course. Dampier, that's what the hatchet, not what the shield blade means, but has a hatchet for the extra last hitting. And again, we have seen Dampier, by all means. He is a snowballing hero. We have seen it come into work before, and it is pretty impressive. So definitely nothing against the hero, but again, you kind of could just argue maybe the way they picked it up, and then also it's just the best matchup for them here in the middle lane. So keep a close eye on that. You got your top lane matchup, Silhouette versus the Plague Rider. Haxford, of course, on Silhouette, going up against the Machine, playing Plague Rider here. You expect Haxford to have a fairly good time up here at the top lane.
Yeah, well, he was pooled 6 Blight runes, or Blight stones, I should say, to just make it that much more easy for him. So he was able to spend his gold on things like, well, I get to spend it on 2 health potions and then some other stat items. So I think he'll have a fairly fine time up here.
Yeah.
Had he knocked out that region, though, it could have been a different story. Like, I do favor, with similar items, Plague actually should be able to beat a silhouette, but with this extra regen that he has, it's going to make it a lot more difficult. Same thing goes for the bottom lane. BKD actually wasn't pooled regen up in this lane, nor was Draconis, but Draconis is going to have such an easy time down here.
Ooh, middle matchup. We see Hammerstrom taking a freeze right there, actually. He's going to take a little bit of damage himself, so both teams making something happen. I kind of feel like Dampier might have been able to go in right there on Hammerstorm. Okay, he is actually going to go in and cancel the health potion. It was a good amount of life regen, but still he canceled at least a couple ticks of it left, so good job right there, making a good presence of mind. As the bottom rune, though, was protected, or I guess it was top, actually. Yes, it's Invis picked up by Tempest, but look at Plaguerotter. He is playing very passive. They saw him pick that up with the Ward of Sight. So he knows, but he's still going to push up right here. He gets greedy, and this is not going to work out for Plaguerotter at all. He'll probably get bloodlusted. Couple more auto attacks. There's going to be the kill. Haxerin will take the smackdown bloodlust kill. Middle lane matchup. We do see Parasite coming in for the assistance, but Engineer actually going to survive. So just catching the tail end of that, but barely surviving himself. But yeah, Plaguerotter, he just got a little too. He wanted that creep kill, man, and it did not pay off.
There's no reason at all that he should have died there. They have full vision. Complete full vision of what was going on. He knew Tempest was invis, and there's just no excuse for that. Got way too greedy, and it certainly didn't pay off. And so now you're going up against the lane of the Silhouette, who already has a better time, had the extra regen, and then got Bloodlust on top of that. Like, you're not going to bounce back in this lane. In fact, you're just going to keep getting, killed and killed once Tempest decides to roam on you. And with the boot step onto Haxerin as well, he's going to be able to pummel auto text in continuously to Plaguerotter whenever he wants.
Take a look at this bottom lane quickly. You got Pharaoh against Dampier, of course. Dampier, what's his name? Monsieur Truck. Interesting name right there. Playing the Dampier. In fact, Pharaoh's going to go very aggressive right here on Draconis with the creep wave even. Puts the Hellfire up, and Draconis will push him away after the Mind Wells wear off. So very aggressive play coming up from B-Kid. But in the end, neither one really dying, just some regen going to be used, and both will be fine. As actually, we do have Parasite coming over, though, with a Wild Hunter. Going to go Invis, so now Beacon needs to be pretty careful right here. Oh, they do have a Ward of Sights, though, so it looks like he probably spotted something a little bit fishy, and it looks like Beacon will be able to fall back in time, use that health potion, and be fine. So Parasite, unfortunately, not able to have the biggest impact so far in terms of assisting for kills. We did see him in the middle lane, and then as well as trying to do the bottom lane right there, but obviously just not in time. Rune is going to spawn top, and sure enough, Tempest is going to be right there to pick it up. Glacius went for the bottom protection, and as a result, he's in a lot of trouble. Engineer assisting Barrel. The taunt goes up, and B-Kid will actually get credit for the kill right there. So just like that, we're now at a 2-0 hero kill lead in favor of Complexity.
Yeah, very interesting. He kept himself at a very interesting spot, little assassin that is, and was very susceptible to gank. They knew Pharaoh was gone, too, from the bottom lane, and you could safely assume it's there to roam the bottom rune. So you have to play a lot more careful than that. And all of these little deaths are making it much more difficult for Dobar Damp to kind of snowball. And I really feel that the stuns are up onto Complexity. Like, they have a little bit more stun team. So as you approach some team fights in the mid game, I think that they're going to have a much easier time. I think with Dobar Damp's lineup, especially with Parasite in the mix, they're going to need to find those early ganks and those early pickoffs, but they're just simply not finding them.
Yeah. Ooh, Parasite getting very low, actually. Nearly even dying right there, but he's going to fall back out over to Skeleton King, and will eventually be able to heal up from that once he, of course, R's out of it. But it looks like he actually did just finish his Ring of Sorcery as well. Just purchased the Pickled Brain, so at least he'll have that to work with. But again, you just brought up the point, so just to reiterate it, this really is an aggressive early game team. Going to start needing to make some of those plays happen here earlier on. With that said, Hammerstorm threw out a stun right there, but Dampier reacted easily in time, so not really much initiation to follow that. But then you also have the Draconis down here. I mean, you take a look at his farm. It's 23-10 against a 14-3 Pharaoh, so I mean he's definitely winning the lane. Farming about 250 gold per minute right now, but he's well behind that Silhouette who's at the top lane. Sure, getting the bloodlust skill helps, but he also is doing a little bit better with the creep farm too. So Draconis is going to need to buy some time to really get into this game and become a farming machine that we all know he can be. Doberman in a lot of trouble right here on Dampier. He's going to try to use that lifesteal with the flight and whatnot. Going to use his Q right there in the Terrorize. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Galvanize activated by Hammerstorm. One more auto attack made to him, and he's going to go the uphill. Glacius wants to support him. Nice kicks on a Tem. Not going to hit, though. Tem is now even running in. The Courier's here. It's still a ground Courier, by the way. And luckily, it doesn't die. It delivers him a Mystic Vestment, I believe. But he'll barely survive. So, good escape in the end. But actually, Barrel is now trying to find somebody. Oh, he's going to find Parasite right here. All by himself. The taunt goes up. Hellfire's doing work. But it's not going to be enough for the kill. There's a torment. So, it's still not enough for the kill. It's only level 1. And actually, Parasite will also live. Glacius now over here. Oh, DonD just keeps getting caught out one by one, barely surviving. But Little Assassins is now in a lot of trouble. But he's going to survive. Now at the top lane, we have Plague Rider in trouble, and I believe he will finally fall. So after all of that, Plague Rider falls. Silhouette takes a lot of tower damage, but wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, like I said, one of the things that you can do against Plague Rider is really dive him. Use those denies that he's using to your own advantage, and they get a kill, and then they're going to get this tower kill as a result of that afterwards. And so much pushing potential and so much farm early on up on the complexity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's getting pretty impressive for Complexity's side. 3,800 gold lead, as well as that 1,800 gold lead. But again, perhaps most importantly, you have Haxer in here on Silhouette now farming 388 gold per minute, but also Tempest at 356 GPN. So Moonmeander's doing very good in that sense. And he's pulling up a good amount of gold. He currently has a bottle and boots, and he has 1,500 gold saved up. Going to try to dive Plague Rider here. Speaking of diving, not going to be successful this time, though. Plague Rider gets back just in time. So we'll be fine. In the middle lane, though, we see Dampierre trying to react, but Glacius already falling. Pharaoh's even here. Pharaoh's going to rat the Pharaoh in, and now Dampierre will most likely die as well. He's going to be picked off, and it is really starting to snowball for the other team now, the team that didn't necessarily need it to happen this way. So that's just horrible news for Deber on Dampierre, and it's getting to a point where they're just going to somehow need to buy time for this Draconis to start farming it up, but
yeah,
it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, that it is, and they're applying pressure everywhere, like except for the bottom lane with Draconis. But even Draconis, even doesn't really matter what hero this is. When your team is dying this much, there's no way that you can carry it because you'll end up having like supports that are getting nearly as much farm as you because of all the kills and assists that they're involved in. So it just makes it really really difficult, especially on the carry.
Yeah. Hammerstorm in the meantime, I mean, you look at his farm as well. It's has passed over the 300 gold per minute mark. Tempest actually gets jumped up, but he's going to ult him in right there. The Hammerstorm stun comes out with the Minotaur that was controlled by Parasite. Plague is going to start bouncing. Will it back to Hammerstorm? Yes, it will. Hammerstorm will fall, and actually, so will Tempest. So DonD actually makes a big play happen there, and just like that, they get a couple of kills. Everyone somehow stays alive. It all came together pretty nicely right there for Dabber on down. Parasite's now actually chasing Engineer with a double damage room, and Franzi's in a lot of trouble unless he can land a good keg stun right here. There comes the Leech. He's going to try to dodge a keg, but he's not going to be used, and so Parasite will instead fall back. Almost got the Courier, actually, but the Courier will be fine as well. So, but while that's all happening, look at that. Haxran pushes in the top tower by himself, and that gold per minute is now at 433. He already has Steam Boot Sustainer with another 900 gold saved up here.
Yeah, a solo tier 2 tower just only killed by your Silhouette. Obviously, the damage was put out as well by Tempest. But Tempest, look at, by the way, has an early Astrolabe. So on the boots, bottle, Astrolabe. So wants some more early team fight items, wants to be aggressive with his team early on, push some more towers. They can maybe even start to group up and screw with Draconis' farm by pushing that lane as well. So pushing all the lanes, getting further ahead, and especially gold, which means buying more items, taking more team fights with the team that you already have a better team fight makeup. So,
yeah, I mean, that was obviously big, much needed for DonD right there, but still in the big picture, you have a 4,600 gold lead overall for Complexity, so still in a pretty comfortable spot here now. 10 minutes in, we are going to see initiation though on a Hammerstorm. He's pretty tanky, but will it be tanky enough? Just a little bit too much damage. No, they started falling back. Everyone sort of stopped auto-attacking, it looked like. Silhouette ports in. Hammerstorm will survive. Tempest going to cut off Parasite right there, and he'll go down as a result. Wrath of the Pharaoh catches Glacius, and just like that, completely turned on. I really feel like, oh, DonD, they just should have fully committed to that kill. They could have gotten it and fallen back right there. Instead, they seemed a little bit back and forth in exactly what they wanted to do.
They wouldn't have been able to kill him.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was a smart decision to fall back, but then you got to think, was it a smart decision to even initiate on Hammerstorm? Because look at his items. He's pretty damn tanky. He's nearly 1,200 HP fully. And then if you don't kill him, also the Galvanize use does increase his armor just slightly a little bit at level 1, but also his movement speed. It's a static 14% movement speed buff to you and your allies around it for 6 seconds. So you have to take into consideration everything. Like, it's only level 7 Dampierre, or sorry, well, yeah, actually Dampierre's level 6, but yeah. Level 7 Parasite. You just don't simply have the damage output.
Oh, Plague Rider going to run right into Hammerstorm right here. Hammerstorm actually starts running away, but now Plague Rider in no man's land. Can he at least get the Plague off? This could be huge if he can. He's going to get a chain stun. He needs to get that Plague off. It's not going to happen, though. He'll start trying to stay alive, but he'll die to the illusion off to the side. So Unfortunate play-by-play got it right there. Granted, they did get the Tempest kill in the end. Pharaoh actually runs into Draconis. Parasite can assist for the kill, and Draconis is turned up, but no, he's going to be bursted down right there. The Hammerstorm stun on top of Engineer. They get the kill on a Draconis, and now Hammerstorm chasing. Dampier out of mana, unfortunately. Hammerstorm going to take a freeze right there, but Little Assassin, he's realizing he's probably going to be picked off here. The Hammerstorm stun going to come out any second. There we go.
How much damage that's done?
It does do a lot. 325, I think. Yeah, especially at this point. That is a lot of damage. It really is. When you think about it. The Parasite's running away right here. Okay, he's going to be fine. Wow. I mean, they're just getting out-aggressioned.
Steamrolled.
Yeah. It's not working out for DonD too well right now. 7,500 gold deficit. I mean, before, if Dampier happened to live, or not Dampier, but Draconis happened to live there, his GPM would actually be pretty solid, but the death, it does actually put him back down, so...
Yeah, I mean, but you have a completely free farming Silhouette, who's also been involved in 4 kills herself. And pushed 2 towers herself, of course, with assistance of Tempest. But yeah, I think just overall, if you're a team that's not exactly the top tier level, I would draft more stuns. Like I don't think they have enough stuns on their team. Look at Complexity; they have stuns on basically every single one of those heroes. Hellfire. I mean, I could go on and on with the list, but they have a lot more stuns, and which means better team fight. And I think that's the route for the newer teams to go for. Is lots of stuns, lots of team fight potential. Yeah. To make it as easy on yourself as possible in the mid-game.
That's a really good point. I mean, actually, the more I'm looking at this Legion team, I mean, technically, they don't even really have any stuns like your Hammerstorm or anything like that, or Magnus or Witchslayer or whatever. Yeah, that's a very interesting point to kind of bring up there. But actually, the middle lane matchup, we do have Hammerstorm. He is looking to come in right here. Run into a Wild Hunter, though, controlled by Parasite, of course. Will they look to maybe counter? Not going to be in time. In the meantime, Tempest is actually continuing to push his bottom lane. He has support nearby in both Pharaoh and Engineer as well. And they're just kind of cutting off DonD right now as far as them wanting to go over there and maybe protect it. So this is kind of an awkward spot for Dober on Damp right here. As it is a 4 versus 4, the 2 carries. Draconis is up here with Silhouette. Draconis does port back. Actually, he ports into the tower. That's a pretty aggressive move right there. He's going to start taking a lot of chase stuns. Dampier trying to get there in time. Draconis will fall right off the bat, though. They were just a little bit too late. Energy field comes out. Wrath of the Pharaoh going to be used right there. The Tempest all the way out to the side. It will catch all of them. The Plague is bouncing around, doing plenty of damage, actually. The Tempest will start to fall back as a result. That's actually now Plague also in some trouble. Dampier gets the finish on the Engineer. Tempest is low. He'll also fall to Dampier. And actually, he's going to go for a quad kill here. This could be big for Doberman. Is it going to be enough damage? No, the Terrorize not enough mana. So actually, Pharaoh will survive, but a hat trick at least coming out for Dampier right there. So yeah. It wasn't that horrid, I guess, but still, it started off with Draconis just getting no help in the beginning.
Yeah, I know. Well, he kind of ran in there, and I mean, his idea was, my team is going to flank them from the top side, but he just went in too soon. Like, he just went balls to the wall too soon. Obviously got bursted down way too fast from all the stuns and aggression from Complexity, and just needed to play that a little bit better, had a little bit more patience, and it would have been a fine trade. But yeah, you did get the hat trick on Doberman, but again, the situation still stands. Haxorn is completely free farming, has his Steam Boots and Nullstone completed, and looking to buy his next item at only the 14-minute mark.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. We're not even 15 minutes into this game, and he has those items and is continuing to farm. I've seen him several times also now. He comes over to the Legion Ancients, just takes those, and falls back to farming. So not only is he getting more farm, but he's also taking that option away from specifically Draconis, of course, who's proven time and time that he can definitely take out those Ancients even by himself at this point. So they're going to spawn once again right there. But Draconis' farm, it just really hasn't been able to start getting off here for our DonD team. So back to the jungle he goes. He's going to take advantage of a stacked camp right here at least. Hammerstorm, though, just finishes his portal key, actually. So Les QQ has been involved in plenty. He's 4-2 and 4 currently. Whoa, look at that. Energizer. Just picked up by Tempest. So you mentioned he went straight for that Astrolabe, but then finished the Ghost Marchers. And now actually the Energizer are going to be picked up. So Moomian are going a little bit different here when it comes to a Tempest build. But does it make sense to you, at least? I'll hold that thought for a second, though. Engineer's actually in a lot of trouble right here. Parasite's chasing. In comes Dampier. And Engineer will fall. There is a TP coming in from Silhouette. But right now, it is numbers advantage in favor of the Legion team, of course. So we do see after the side, the Wrath of the Pharaoh going to come in. Hammerstorm with the portal key as well. Dampier trying to save them, though, with the flight as well as the Terrorize. He's going to try to turn around. Hammerstorm barely surviving, actually. Not enough for the kill right there. And now Dampier's in some trouble. The Energizer used by Tempest. Charging. It doesn't have an ultimate. Going to finish off Dampier, though. Hat trick coming out for Haxorn. Are they going to be able to pursue this Draconis now? Tree Grapple going to be used right there. And I believe Draconis is in a lot of trouble. Stun from Tempest is going to come out. In comes Parasite trying to support, but Hammerstorm stuns him. Draconis is on the run with that blazing flight and maybe just going to be out of range. Torment still in 1 second. Uh-oh, you're probably going to die. Yes, he tries to juke it. Not going to happen, though. Down goes Draconis. And Parasite trying to run away now, but no, Hammerstorm blinks in. Just enough stun. Mana for the stun. One auto attack. Oh, he cannot get close enough. Nice turret right there, though.
Oh.
And yes, it finishes off Parasite in mid-animation of the Infest. That's got to be frustrating. But, again, you look at the big picture. It's really dominating now for Complexity.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and you mentioned it, just enough mana there from Hammerstorm. I saw him toggling his boots like crazy and finally found enough mana on the Int-Steam boots and got that stun off. And yeah, just a big team fight there for Complexity. The Hellfire is doing so much work. Pharaoh is connecting with all these hooks. And the Energizer actually did a considerable amount of work as well, like giving the team extra movement speed by being able to chase the other team. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, just before that fight, I think you kind of answered it right there when we saw even, but the Energizer route on Tempest, does this actually make sense to you, or do you feel this is kind of because of how this game is going with the way he's building? But
I think both, honestly. Like, yeah, I think it's a great pickup, and I think it'll be very useful, but you know, in a game that was much closer, I would have gone for the more standard items like your Shrunken Head and your Portal Key. But it's still a fine item.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a relatively cheap item. There's no question I'm a big fan of this item in general.
It has stepped up as actually being an item we do see time to time on the competitive scene. It really has. I mean, I remember when it first came out, there was no one that was interested in it. It's definitely been changed as far as the build-up for it and whatnot. Pharaoh running into a lot of trouble down here at the bottom lane. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away from this. He will throw it the mummy wall, but you see all five are eventually coming out, but so is Complexity. In fact, as the Pharaoh going to go in, they are going to catch Glacius, and just like that, we're going to start seeing the turnaround now. In jumps Hammerstorm, a big stun right there. Down goes Draconis. Plagueis will also fall. You see the Plagueis passing around, but there's a lot of creeps there absorbing the damage. Dampier, he actually did kill Silhouette, by the way. So Silhouette buys back, actually. But Dampier's just going to go for the port out. The Keck stun. No, it is going to be in time. And Doberman will also fall right here. Maybe get a counter kill first. It's not going to happen, though. That's going to be a genocide for Complexity. And obviously, we're really at a point now where I wouldn't be surprised if DonD has had enough and wants to take it to game 2, because it is just getting out of hand here in favor of Complexity.
Yeah, it is. And I will say, though, that Dampier is actually doing work in these team fights. Like, imagine if they had, as a team, a much better start. Like, Dampier would actually be really doing work, and kind of makes me double think about, you know, Dampier as a hero, or as a hero in general, like what he can bring to the table. And like I said, if they had a better start as a team, I actually feel like that hero can really contend with a lot of different heroes that we're seeing here on the Hellborn team. But unfortunately, they didn't have a good start. It all started off with a Plague Rider just getting dove early on. Well, actually, I should say just ganked from the end of this room that he saw himself. And then getting dove a number of times behind the tower because of the deny effect and just the superior levels up on both Tempest and Haxor and playing that Silhouette. Yeah,
that was definitely a big key. And then also, you know, the failed gank in the middle lane where we didn't really catch that action, but obviously Parasite came in, and usually, especially with a Draconis and not a Draconis, but a Dampier and a Glacius there setting up a kill, you would like to get that. And, you know, maybe things could have been a bit different here, but unfortunately, you know, it just didn't come together. The execution wasn't there, and we are looking at a pretty devastating lead in favor of our Hellborn team. You see the Portal Key going to be used by Silhouette away as a Nullstone deactivated by the Leech, but no, DonD, they're going to hang in there. I mean, they're going to just hope for the best. So nothing wrong with that necessarily. We're on 20 minutes into the game. But you are looking at a 19,000 gold lead deficit, as well as an 11,000 experience deficit. So your Draconis, he really hasn't even been able to surpass that 300 GPM mark. He's maybe been over for a little bit. Granted, really no one on this team has. I mean, even Dampier is actually slightly ahead of him, only at 277 GPM right now. You see Draconis right there. He started to TP, actually, but then he canceled it real quickly. I wonder if he thought that they were going to catch him. So, but in the end, it looks like he should be fine here, as he's going to be joined by the rest of this team. But Complexity, as they really should be doing, I mean, they know they have this huge lead. They're just going to keep the aggression up because there's no reason for them not to.
Yeah.
With the items and levels that they have over the opposition, it's easy work for them. So,
yep.
Tempest now with the tablet, by the way, too.
Yeah, tons of utility. I mean, you're going to have a push, the heal, you have the massive speed boost. You even have your own Ghost Marchers to give yourself a speed boost as well. So tons of utility on this Tempest. But yeah, Haxor in 570 gold per minute. He's got his portal key now as well, as we saw that in the last team fight, and does work, man. Does work. They could even take Congo if they wanted to. They're up so far at this point. I don't think that Dobro and Damp really has the resources to, take a fight at Congo. So
Yeah.
but Complexity could also just push up the base, I think,
Yeah.
and just kind of overrun them at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It really is a case of it's not even necessary. So why even take the time to do that when you can just push into the base? So we do see Complexity. They are going to at least take out what is the final outer tower here. And obviously DonD is, at this point, they're just worried about protecting their base, not really worried about the outer towers. So they're going to let it fall right here. They're sitting all at the middle tower of the base. We'll see if Complexity continues to pursue here. It doesn't look like it. They're going to fall back. And Haxorn actually pushed to the top lane to continue to farm up there. So you're ahead, get further ahead. If you're Complexity again, they're not by any means in a rush to finish this game. You see the double damage rune doing work right there on Haxorn. Already, he's actually very close down to finishing him in a Shrunken Head. Again, we're only 22 minutes into the game. He already has a Nullstone, Portal Key, Steam Boots, and a Shrunken Head is in the near future, farming nearly 600 gold per minute now. But it looks like the Congo attempt is actually going to be happening here, and you do got DonD. They have an idea that it's happening, but again, as you said, can they stop this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see him actually go for Frostburn. I wanted to see how it plays out. I haven't seen Frostburn Silhouette in forever. Be nice to see that once again. I actually used to see Era do that all the time.
Yeah.
Go Frostburn on Silhouette.
Yeah, Era, of course, back from Fnatic, and before that, the Lions team, the old Lions team. Great player. We do have Congo falling right there. Silhouette actually picks it up right after the throw, going to miss actually, but Hammerstorm jumps and he says, I'll make up for the loss right there, BK. The Tempest ultimate catches basically everyone. Parasite finally comes in, but the damage is easily already done. Draconis falls, Parasite just running away. Couple of double taps coming out right there. Parasite, will he actually survive? I don't even think he even will. Takes the Tempest down, there's a Hammerstorm down. Les QQ gets the hat trick, and another genocide for Complexity. So if it wasn't over already, I think it is going to be here now.
Yeah. Haxorn blinks into the tower, taking a lot of damage actually from the base tower, but doesn't really care as a token of life, and just wants to go mad mode up on that. But big genocide, and apparently Pika's getting some lag. But they're easily in favor of this game, and I don't see any way that Dobro and Damp can come back into this.
Yeah, it's obviously pretty out of hand at this point. And this is, we talk about this from time to time when we have cases like this. It's like, you know what? At a point, especially in game number ones, it's like, let's just move on to the next game.
Yeah.
The more you stay in a game like this, it could just. Now, it seems like DonD had a pretty good attitude coming into this game. They knew that they are facing a team like Complexity, who obviously is a level up on them, it's safe to say. But they were just looking forward to having some fun, seeing how they can match up, I'm sure. So, maybe in their perspective, just having some fun in the end. But to an extent, again, it is a best-of-3 series, so you got to look at it from that perspective. All right, we lost the first game. Let's not worry about really what happened in the end. Let's just move on here. But again, it's obviously their choice in the end, and they are going to stick in here for now and see what they can make happen. I believe, what did Haxorn just buy, by the way? I think he even bought a shield breaker. Shrunken Head is on the courier, actually. It's being delivered to him, but was that him buying also a shield breaker? Yes. So, shield breaker level 2.
Yeah, the
wow.
Shrunken Head's actually for
okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was about to say, wow. That's amazing, the items he has.
Yeah, that would be pretty. Well, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he's at 600 gold per minute.
Yeah, he is up there.
They're up by 30,000 gold at 25 minutes.
Yeah, with the Shrunken Head for Hammerstorm. So, buy those items quickly, get some regen, and, well, back into the base they go. So, everyone is up on DonD. That's the advantage of not necessarily being the highest levels right now. They resurrect fairly quickly, so they are ready to go. They do still have the rack, so I guess in that sense, that's why they're hanging in here. Silhouette doesn't even care. He jumps in, just annihilates a full-life Glacius, and I think that was 2, maybe 3 auto attacks. And quickly ports out with the illusion, so. And now they're going to take out the melee racks here. We'll see when Dobro on Damp finds it necessary to actually jump in themselves. You got Pharaoh off to the side. You see the Leech going to deactivate the Nullstone right there. You got to do something here soon. We do see Hammerstorm says he's tired of waiting. In jumps Parasite as well onto Silhouette. Silhouette jumps in the fight in the midst of it. A lot of chaos going on. Draconis activates that Cataclysmic Assault. Or no, he didn't even actually. Oh, yes, he did. Okay, never mind. Anyways, he falls. The whole team does. GG QP play. GG well played are being called, and I believe that will officially do it here for game number 1. So Complexity just got 2 out of hand, I think is the moral of the story here. So obviously, I don't know if there's really too much else to say, Trout. I think we kind of went over it there in the end pretty much. But Complexity just got a 2 out of hand over on Damp. Pretty solid lineup in the end. I mean, but just the execution, at least, especially earlier on, had some flaws and didn't work out for them. So.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad lineup. I think in general, though, they could have just used more stuns, like for a reason I talked about earlier.
Yeah, true.
And here's the thing: now, Parasite is a very, very annoying hero, very, very strong hero, and can really screw up certain teams' lineups. But the thing about Parasite is you have to make moves. Like, he does not farm quickly in the jungle. He offers not that much in the late game as far as just with late game potential. And so with Parasite, you have to find those openings. You have to make moves. It's not like a Tempest where you can just sit back, farm, and get some big items come into the mid-late game with a huge ultimate or huge like a sheepstick or big items or what have you.
Yeah.
So if you can't find those openings, if you can't find ganks, then you're just kind of a useless hero that runs around. And that I think that was the problem too with Dober on Damp, is they couldn't find those openings to specifically the mid lane, which was Hammerstorm Engineer. Like, they're pretty tanky, and they have both great stuns, and even they're slow from the turret. So you just simply couldn't find an opening with Parasite. That's why you looked at the drafting. Well, one, they didn't have enough stuns. Two, I really think that Tempest over Dampier, that first lockpick phase, would have been a little bit of a smarter pick.
Yeah, I gave my reasons for why just the Dampier in general was a pretty odd first pick there in that lockpicking phase from DonD. But in the end, again, just didn't work out. So best of the 3, though. We'll see what DonD can make happen in game number 2, of course, against Complexity. And will they be able to come through with an upset, even perhaps? Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We will have game number 2 coming up shortly here. We'll be right back.